Let's talk about creating a space for difficult, complicated, important conversations.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk About. I'm Joanne Clinton, and this is my co-host, James Milan.
Indeed, and we are here today to pick up on the conversation that we were having last time, where we were talking about, we should remind people, what Let's Talk About is all about.
Our bodies over time and aging and accepting the process and embracing it, and just learning to love and care for who you are at whatever age.
Yeah, and that is the topic for today, but in general, it is one of the topics we like to tackle on Let's Talk About, where we are willing and able to create the kind of space to talk about the kinds of things that people don't generally talk about or don't talk about as frankly as we aim to here. So, as you already mentioned, the topic for today is aging, or continuing with the topic of aging. And it is certainly something that most people don't want to think about. And if they do, they don't want to talk about it too concretely a lot of the time. Because it's very, again, it ain't easy, even if you are satisfied with the life you've lived so far. Get to my age, and again, I'm in my mid-60s, get to my age, and you realize there ain't a whole lot left compared to what's already been, and that is not a comfortable feeling a lot of the time.
Well, I don't know. I don't like thinking like that, because you never know. You might hang around another 30 years, so you might make plans of what you're going to do with yourself for the next 30 years. And myself as well. I might be around another 30, 35 years. And it's like, when you think about it like that, it's like, well, what am I going to do with myself? And also, just keep in mind, I'm just keeping in mind that my body may not function the way it used to, but I can still retain the joy for life that I had back when I was 7, 16, 25, 35. I still have that right as me to retain the joy of living.
Yeah, you do. You have that right. You have that opportunity. But I think that a lot of that relies, you mentioned, okay, I might live another 30 years. Sure, I might live to my mid-90s. It's definitely possible. We know a number of nonagenarians now. You might live to that, and you might live a good long time still to come. Sure, we may be breathing for all that time, but what kind of quality of life do we have, and what does that mean? Doesn't our health, doesn't how we get to live matter even more than how long we get to live? And I think that that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, is the fact that there's some distinctions, let's just say, between men's experience and women's experience, as you have kind of lived it so far, that we were talking about before the cameras started rolling. And I just want to ask you to talk about that idea that women, for a number of reasons, kind of get introduced to this whole bodies aging and changing over time thing, and have to live there for a while much more than men.
Yes. As women, we're stepped into, the process of aging and being sick and seeing a doctor and loss or death. As you know, as young girls, we get to a particular age and we start having cycles. And so the whole idea that you're not a little girl anymore is you're reminded,
It's a really palpable thing,
every
right?
29, 30 days, you are reminded that you're not a little girl and you're getting older and your body's changing and you have the capacity to have a baby. And so that's, another age of responsibility and health. And then also as a woman, I've had 2 children, that when you're pregnant, and you go see the doctor and you're there with other women who are going through the whole prenatal process, the reality is not every pregnant woman gives birth to a live baby. That is no guarantee, and that is the reality. This is why we go for prenatal care, to keep an eye on the whole process. And if you're someone who has a live, healthy baby, you are very fortunate and blessed. And so that whole idea, like you could be in your early or mid-20s, and that whole idea that, I'm not a child, I'm having a child. My hope is that I have a healthy live child, but there's always a risk, and you have to accept that a possibility that I may lose a life that I cherish. So all of that is introduced to us women really like in your face at a younger age. And unfortunately, men, you guys are just onlookers.
Yeah, that's certainly how it felt a lot of the time when when we were going through the process of even just the prenatal preparation of different sorts. I felt, as men do, I think, very ornamental in that situation, because you're not much required in terms of the kinds of things that are being measured, things that are being monitored, things that, where the attention and the focus and the care is centered has nothing to do with you, the man, in that situation. And I found it to be a little disconcerting, but also a little refreshing, to have the focus be on what, on that between the two genders, the one that I feel like it's no great news to anybody that we live that we are in many ways a patriarchal species, or we have organized ourselves along patriarchal lines over long histories, and that the differences between men and women in terms of who dominates situations has been clear for a long time. So for me, I was very mindful of all of that as I felt like a wallflower, and thought, how seldom do men need to feel that way? How often are women made to feel that way? And that was a little bit of a, something that I can't say I enjoyed in the process, but like I said, I found it somewhat refreshing. However, that has little to do with what we're talking about here right now, which is really, as you say, this natural cycles of your life that just bring you into contact with, and into the reality, and into the need to face loss, as well as, as well as the responsibilities of womanhood and being able to give birth and all that stuff. You face either potential or real loss, a lot of times from earlier ages. Obviously, everybody's biography is different, and people lose parents and other loved ones as children, and so nobody has control over that. But speaking in general terms, for women to go through their lives from 0 to their mid-50s, their mid-60s, their mid-70s, whatever, there's going to be that sense, like as you were just describing. And that's pretty different for men who get to really not have to face these things.
Right.
If we also don't worry about going to the doctor, don't worry about anything that's going to make us maybe feel a little vulnerable, a little mortal, a little, weak.
Yes, that I like what you said, mortal. Knowing that you're understanding and embracing the fact that you're mortal, and that the reality that death is a breath away, and but not to get hung up in that morbid subject.
Well,
but to
that's
know,
what
but to know that try to enjoy your life. Try to just embrace the responsibility. Like, everything. I just got a reminder on my phone. It's time for my yearly eye exam. And I said, well, that's cool, because I want to get a pair of sunglasses. I just can't go buy a pair of sunglasses off a rack. I have to have some kind of script in my sunglasses. So so it's a fun thing for me that, oh, it's that time of year for me to get my yearly checkup, and hopefully I can get a new pair of sunglasses, because I had a pair of sunglasses. They were gorgeous, but I left them on the train. So, but they're expensive because my sunglasses are scripted. I can't just spend 25, 30 bucks on a pair of sunglasses and look cool. I need a scripted pair of sunglasses so I can actually see.
See, right, yeah.
And as I'm getting older, my vision is doing things that I'm like, what is going on? I'm nearsighted, I'm farsighted. What is going on? And then it was explained to me that no, you are and have been, progressively, you're nearsighted, but your nearsightedness has progressed. But also, as you get a certain age, trying to read things gets a little funky. So I have bifocals, or I have two different pairs of glasses. And now I have a hard time looking at the computer screen, which is like a median range. So you see me running around switching glasses, whether I'm sitting at the computer or I'm up walking around. And
does that make you feel like, is that like a sign of age for you, or is that just something else that that you have to just kind of remember, or something else that you have to adopt?
I feel as though it's a sign of age, because before it was just, I just needed glasses for distance. Then as I got older, I needed for reading and so forth and so on, because I am naturally nearsighted. But then on top of that, somebody who's nearsighted and they get older, their eyes do some weird stuff,
So maybe you could even think about it as there was a long period of time in your life when your nearsightedness you could more or less ignore, or just not think about it. You had to wear your glasses if you're driving, if you're watching a movie or whatever, but other than that, you don't really have to think about it. Now, because of the things that the ways in which your eyes are developing,
have changed over time, that,
you can't ignore it.
Sometimes I'm doing some weird stuff, like if I have on my distance glasses and I'm trying to read something, I'm like doing this.
Yeah, anybody seen anybody do that before? I bet.
Or I'm doing this in the grocery store. What's that? And it can be annoying.
But how does that like can you relate that to this idea that we're talking about today of aging? Does that make you feel like, oh God, this is either this is such a pain, or this is such a reminder all the time of this way that I can't do the things I used to do? Does any of that fit into it?
No,
or?
because I for me, I was nearsighted since I was 9. Playing team sports was like, no, because if I take my glasses off, I don't know who my teammates are. I can't see the ball that well. So it was I've always been like the odd one out when it comes to certain sports. If it's an independent thing like me running or exercise or things like that, fine. But like a team sport where, as a kid going through school, I wouldn't want to get my glasses broken, so I take them off, but then I'm no good. So being kind of like nearsighted and nerdy, that was, but I've always had problems seeing.
Right.
So this is just another layer. So it's not like, oh, I'm old and I can't see. It's like, no, I've always had problems with not being able to see. Only thing that I don't like now, because I have what they call dry eyes, I can't wear contacts. That's the only thing that
Which you used to be able to?
Yes.
Yeah, that probably made a difference too.
Yes, I can't wear contacts because of the dry eyes.
Yeah, that's always been a problem for me, actually. I have been wearing glasses for nearly as long as you, or maybe, since I was about 17 or so, 16 or 17, and then needing to do so while I played sports. Not initially, not in the first, not through my 20s, but then from my 30s on. And it's just a different thing when you have to wear glasses. They are definitely a pain in the neck. They get all fogged up when you're running around, et cetera.
Changing
and
temperature.
the fact that the contacts just didn't work for me for the same reasons. My eyes are too dry. That was a problem. But again, those were things that we just had to deal with even as young people, right? But I want to refocus or remind us that, actually I want to introduce the topic that gave birth to the very idea of Let's Talk About, because you mentioned to me months ago a particular thing that I wanted to ask you about again now, and that is the fact that in your observation, in your own life, your life experience includes seeing a lot of men in the African American community who you see from an early age to a late age all have the same resistance. And it's not just a resistance, it's a refusal, it sounds like, in some ways.
Or maybe not.
To,
Just it. They don't think about it.
what I'm talking about is
Or
getting medical attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the black, hopefully we can get someone here to speak directly to it. But I've been a witness to, men of color, African American men of color. They have a resistance to seeing a doctor.
And that's true at 15, it's true at 35, it's true at 55,
yeah,
75.
I mean, once they stop seeing the pediatrician and they're adults on their own, it's like you ask someone, like, when was the last time you seen the doctor? And you're like, for what? I'm fine. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, how do you know? Because I know, I feel fine. I'm like, mm-hmm. Yeah, and high blood pressure does not hurt.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
what do you, so
And so, God rest his soul, my husband Ron, he was 56 when he died. And a lot of us didn't know that he had some problems with his liver and some other things going on, because he was kind of resistant to consistent, medical treatment, keeping up with your medical care. Mm-hmm. And then my daughter's uncle, he recently passed away due to complications from diabetes. Mm-hmm. And
also a man in his 50s, I think,
yeah,
right?
he was like 50, 58, 57, 58. He wasn't even 60 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's a common thing that, seeing a brother make it to 65 is a big deal.
Yeah, so like, is that how this plays out? This resistance that you've said is kind of really broadly evident among black men. Mm-hmm. This resistance to seeking medical attention, to going to the doctor, to checking into something, just to checking out whether you're in fact okay as you feel. Mm-hmm. That all that leads mostly to unnecessary earlier deaths. Or is it also that it leads to some tough stuff near the end of people's lives?
Well, a lot of it is because, you don't know what your blood sugar is, so you don't pay attention to what you eat. So you just keep eating the way you want to eat, and then you find out that your blood sugar is really bad, but then now you don't want to change your habits. Or you don't know.
And you might even say to yourself, I'm too old to change now,
Yes. And then if your blood pressure is out of control, the touchy thing about blood pressure with all men, not just men of color, from what I understand, the side effect of a lot of blood pressure medication is diminished capacities sexually.
So it affects sexual function.
Yes, sexual function, and that's a big turnoff. Mm-hmm. And but those are the two things, as a woman, consistently been going to the doctors, I'm always concerned about my numbers, like my blood pressure, my BMI, and my A1C. Mm-hmm. Because over time I've learned about these things, because at one time I was pretty heavy. I was like 230 pounds. And I wore a knee sleeve, and but I lost the weight, and I gained some of it back. But I always try to keep my weight under 200 pounds. Mm-hmm. If I start creeping into the 190s, I'm like, all right, let's do something about it. And I'm borderline diabetic myself, but I try to stay right here at the border. I was joking with my significant other. I said, I'll stay right here at the border. I don't want to turn off on the exit A1C and go right into, mm-hmm. diabetic land. Mm-hmm. But so sometimes I got to, tell myself, maybe go for a walk or eat some fruit, or mm-hmm. don't eat so many cookies today, and don't put any sugar in your coffee, and try not to eat so much white carbs. Switch out your white rice to brown rice. Telling myself to do these little things, and they add up because I think I've lost about 7 pounds, and I'm not quite sure. I haven't checked my blood sugar lately, but I'm pretty sure I'm still like in the low 6s, like 6'1" or 6'2". And me just talking about that and being aware of it, I wish more people, men and women, understood the importance of these little things about your blood pressure and your blood sugar, because it's something that is a precursor to other things, diabetes, heart disease, kidney malfunction, something else too. Oh, strokes. And also I think some dementia.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all the literature I read around aging, mentions the connections between nutrition and all those things, along with exercise and other stuff like that. But I do want to recognize that you sitting here and describing how things are for you personally, and putting numbers to those things, whether it's numbers around weight or numbers around blood sugar counts, et cetera. I hope, again, we hope, I think, that in having these conversations, whatever, it makes it one iota easier for somebody who might watch it, might listen in, to have such a conversation, to say something out loud that is scary to them around, again, what weight they are, what concerns they have, et cetera. I really do hope that that's the case. But the things that you were just saying, that you have to remind yourself and tell yourself, okay, do this, don't do that, et cetera. I imagine that, I wonder for you, I'll just talk about for me. As I think about the time that remains on this earth for me, and whether it's a day or 25 years, it will have its end. And I think, therefore, about what lies between now and then. And how do I feel in my own life, but also in the larger world. And I think that anybody who gets to their 60s has some understanding that the culture, broadly speaking, whether you're whatever ethnicity you are, whatever gender, whatever, the culture, broadly speaking, is not paying a whole lot of attention to you anymore, as somebody in, again, their 60s and thereafter, the 70s, the 80s, et cetera.
Well, I've told you this before. Maybe I'm different. I don't care.
Right. It doesn't matter for you.
Care.
Right. I think that. Well, I think that's the easy. That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best place to be, especially if it's effortless. I don't know how many people find that kind of increasing irrelevancy to the rest of the world. The fact that people aren't going to be caring whether you buy something, caring to what your own experience was. I shouldn't say caring, but they're not going to be open to thinking that you have something valuable to add to the conversation. I wonder how it is that you just don't care about that.
Maybe on a larger scale, having it's kind of a contradiction because we're sitting here doing a little talk show about people not wanting to hear us, but there is people hearing us. Well, if I meet someone, make a new friend, have some wonderful conversations, or like last night I was on the phone with my dear friend, Maria, texting and we talking and stuff and sharing old pictures and things and laughing. This is my peer group. You know what I'm saying? This is my peer group.
Right.
And if popular culture is that, I was a part of popular culture back in the 90s when I was younger, and like you said, things were marketed towards me and people wanted to know what I thought and what was I interested in buying and what was my favorite music and my favorite movie and da-da-da-da-da. But I have moved out of all of that. And I think, I know, me going through that process I told you about, mourning my youth, So you could still cherish and value being young, but it's no longer a concern of yours of being a part of the younger generation. You know, I was raised by my grandmother and a older set of people, and something they always said, you know, they said, y'all children go on and have a good time. I'll be sitting right here on the porch when you get back. So in other words, I had my turn, I had my time. Go enjoy your life, do whatever it is you need to do, and if you need something, call me. But if I'm not relative to your conversation, well, that must mean that we're of a different set, you know, or a different peer group. And it doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I think it bothers men a little more.
A little more, huh?
Yeah.
You got any thoughts on why that might be?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Something strikes me as true in what you just said, that would be a bigger problem for men a lot of the time. I'm not exactly sure why, although I do think, again, it has to do with, over the long period of time, the centrality that men perceive in ourselves, our centrality to what's going on around us, whether that's within the workplace, within the family, within the world writ large. Men grow up a lot of times with a sense that, yes, we're gonna be in charge of these kinds of things. We're gonna, you know, we're gonna be right at the center of this stuff. And accepting that as you are moved further to the margins, you know, accepting that may just be harder for men to do, as you said. What I really like about what you said about that what you heard before and what you now feel, which is, I'll be right here on the porch, you know,
y'all children go
no
on,
problem.
have a good time.
Go have fun. What I hear in the way that you say that is, and I'm good with that. That's fine with me. I don't mind that you guys are going to go and have a certain kind of fun that I remember as total fun. I just don't need it anymore.
No.
For, you know, for going forward. So
yeah, and thinking that you know, someone younger thinking that they know something I don't know, I start laughing. Well, you'll see. Keep, yep.
Yeah,
Keep living. You'll see.
I do know a few people who are struggling with their recent 30th birthday, and I just think to myself, okay, fair enough. I bet I did too. We have a couple of folks in the control room there who are probably looking at the age of 21 or 22 or something and go, ah!
Yeah, I don't want to out anybody, but there's somebody in there that's still seeing a pediatrician. What?
Well, people actually will see their pediatrician. This is subject for another time, but I know that pediatricians will agree to continue seeing their patients well beyond the age of 18 in certain circumstances.
Oh, okay.
And that's, I think, more a recent development. Anyway, we're just out of time, so that's why we're stopping talking now. I have to say, we have said this is part 2 of a conversation. I think there's a part 3 still to come.
It might be a series.
Because I think that I would like to talk to you, and perhaps we'll find a guest that is appropriate as well, talk to you about death, actually, and about preparing for it, whether it is 25, 30, 35 years away or not. The fact of the matter is, we don't know. We simply don't know. And so for us to not pay some attention to communications and conversations that need to happen, and for those who will be left if we do suddenly disappear, is something that I would like to talk to you and or others about.
Yeah, I'm prepared to have that discussion because I've had that discussion with myself and with others of A, B, C, and D of what Joanne wants if X, Y, and Z happens.
Great. So let's table that for now.
Okay.
But we'll be back here for part 3 for that.
All right then.
All right. Thanks very much. For my dear colleague, Joanne Clinton, I am James Milan. This is Let's Talk About. Thanks for hanging in there with this conversation with us, and we'll see you for part 3. Thanks.
Yep. See you soon.
ACMi productions are only made possible with your support. Visit patreon.com/ACMi to learn how you can help.